Hi, I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Brianna, and welcome back to Fresh Off the Brook.
Fresh Off the Broke is about personal experiences growing up Asian American in a predominantly white community, Asian media, and Asian pop culture in general. Race has always been a sensitive topic. Every day, there are debates over race. With our podcast, we intend to shed light on the experiences of first-generation Asian immigrants, not put them on a pedestal.
We understand that race isn't everything, but there should be an acknowledgement of people of color, the knowledge gap, and the racial divide that will ideally be broken. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the episode. Today's topic is the bamboo ceiling.
So, Rihanna, would you like to tell our listeners what that means?
I would. So, if you're wondering, what is the bamboo ceiling? It is a phenomenon in STEM fields where Asians are basically barred from promotions and big roles. And from the Wikipedia definition, the term bamboo ceiling was coined and popularized in 2005 by Jane Hyun in Breaking the Bamboo Ceiling, Career Strategies for Asians, a book that she wrote, where she addresses the barriers faced by many Asian Americans in the professional arena, such as stereotypes and racism. The bamboo ceiling, as defined by Jane Hyun herself, is a combination of individual, cultural, and organizational factors that impede Asian Americans' career progress inside organizations.
And a side note, in case you haven't made the connection yet in your head, the bamboo ceiling is essentially the Asian version of the quote unquote gas ceiling. No, the glass ceiling used generally when speaking about women and other historically like oppressed or marginalized groups. It's the same concept, but more general umbrella.
Tiffany, have you heard of the term bamboo ceiling before? Because personally, before we planned this episode, I hadn't really heard specifically of the term bamboo ceiling. I knew it was a thing in my mind, and I knew of the glass ceiling, but I didn't realize that there was an actual term used.
Right. I think I can't say that I'm super well versed or like well read on the bamboo ceiling, but I have heard or seen it once or twice briefly, but not, I don't have, or I guess I didn't come into this with a super in-depth understanding of it. It was kind of like you, except I guess I had been slightly more exposed to it. Like I'd come across like an article or two, or maybe even an Instagram post where it said bamboo ceiling, something, something.
I see.
But yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to put a name to something because it makes it kind of legitimizes it, right?
For sure.
And I don't know, I guess because sometimes you don't know if it's just your personal perception or if it's a thing, and then if it's also a thing that many people are familiar with or have experienced themselves. I'm not trying to be all the shared experience, but it's kind of that
yeah, for sure.
that general feeling.
When
When it comes to talking about the bamboo ceiling, I feel like it always kind of goes back to stereotypes about Asians, especially the also popular mono minority myth and similar things. Because, I mean, it's very interesting, right? Because there's, on one hand, the bamboo ceiling, where Asians are barred from promotions or from, I guess, let's just say, achieving their full potential. But then there's the stereotype that they're supposed to be super successful, super smart, and whatnot.
Mhm.
And so how do these two things exist at the same time, right? It doesn't really make sense. And if we look back at the history of the model minority myth, the term itself, model minority, was first, or is I guess known to be first termed back in the 60s by a sociologist named William Peterson at UC Berkeley.
Mhm.
And he was using the term model minority in a New York Times article where he was praising Japanese Americans and their ability to succeed in the US. And the thing is,
Mhm.
it's always very strange how the model minority myth is used because it seems like it's used as a way to put down other races to say, hey, if you, because it furthers the whole thing about capitalism, where if you just work hard, you'll succeed, or like, hey, American dream, you just gotta work and get there. And then they use the quote unquote model minority to say, hey, these people aren't white and they can do it. So racism doesn't exist.
Mm.
And it's always very iffy because then it creates animosity
Mhm.
among people of color. And then
Mhm.
it's also I guess using Asians as a scapegoat
Uh-huh.
or as a I don't know what the term would be. A guinea pig, scapegoat, fall guy.
The group that you throw under the bus.
Yeah, or the one it's strange because they're on a pedestal but also under the bus, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You're simultaneously on the bus and under the bus.
Yeah, and it's very condescending because
Mhm.
you're saying, "Wow, look at these Japanese Americans," or "Wow, look at these Asian Canadians or Asian Australians or whatever," and saying, "See, if they can do it, then you're the problem
Mhm.
because they're Asian." And then, oh my gosh, I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I had a supply teacher once in middle school. It was so weird. And the thing is, it kind of sucked to hear because he was such, in my mind at the time, he was such a sweet and wholesome supply teacher. He's one of those supply teachers that you see often because
Mm.
just one of the go-to people, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And one time, him and my teacher, because this is like kind of a side thing, but my class was in a weird setup where we had a teacher in the morning and a teacher in the afternoon for the same class,
Hmm.
which I don't know. Okay, if you don't go to, I don't know how all the different school systems work around the world,
Yeah.
but here, public school in Canada, we have homeroom, or I guess when you're in elementary school and middle school, you have your teacher, like your homeroom teacher. That's the teacher that you're with for most of the day. They teach you
Mhm.
most of the things. But for
Mhm.
some reason, my class had a morning homeroom teacher and an afternoon homeroom teacher.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so that's why we
That's
had a supply
weird.
teacher and my teacher was still there, or one of them was
Mhm.
still there. But anyways,
Weird.
they were talking and I happened to sit next to the teacher's desk or close to the teacher's desk, so I can always hear what anyone sitting there is saying.
Mhm.
And they were talking about students or talking about, well, students in general. And then I think I don't know why. I think I might have asked them something or I did something, and then I started talking about me, and they started talking about me in the most disturbing way because it was
Oh God.
very. Mm, they were well. They were praising me. They were talking about me in a positive way, but it was very much in like a oh like Asian. They're like oh like
Mm.
I always like especially the supply teacher said something along the lines of like, "I always like the Asian students
Oh God, I've
because
heard that before.
they're so good," or like, "That like this Asian girl in your class, like blah, blah,
So well
blah." And it made me
behaved.
so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Ugh, that's awful.
Yeah, I know. Like, "Oh, man. I thought you were like a cute, wholesome."
Yeah. And like it
Yeah.
sucks because a lot of people don't understand why that's harmful to say. Because it's like, what? Like I'm being nice, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you don't understand how many bad things you are perpetuating right now. How many issues
Yeah.
that this statement has amongst everybody else besides you.
Yeah. It's really tough because it's been promoted and I guess it's lasted so long as
Hmm.
this thing
Yeah.
where people don't know that they're being, I don't know if I want to say the word, I don't know if I want to say malicious, but they don't know that they're doing something bad
Harm. Yeah.
because verbally it doesn't sound like a bad thing
Yeah, for
to
sure.
say that Asians are smart.
Like you're complimenting someone, technically.
Yeah, exactly. It's always an iffy situation.
Hmm. Essentially, Asians are considered a model minority because of the quiet, submissive, I hate saying that word, but it's
I know,
true.
me too.
It's the stereotype of Asians being submissive and hardworking, high achieving in like STEM fields and non-confrontational and being passive. That's why we're considered a model minority. And even though, as we've been talking about, it does seem harmless in the short term because, technically, like, it's a compliment. You could argue it's a compliment. I'm saying a good thing. It almost cages us into like we're gonna be stuck because we're considered almost like a white man's counterpart or like a white man's sidekick in a way, or like the equivalent to the white man in a POC environment, but
Yeah, yeah.
there's no benefit of the white privilege that we have. So we're just stuck, no place to grow, essentially. Stuck because of the bamboo ceiling.
Yeah, and it's strange because I mean, one thing, so this, I guess, falls under more the glass ceiling, but people have talked about how when companies talk about diversifying and getting more diverse employees,
Mm-hmm.
or just like members of the company, you'll notice that the highest part of the company usually doesn't really change. Maybe it changes ever so slightly. There's an extra woman or an extra person of
Mm-hmm.
color. But for the most part, the diversity happened at the lowest link of the food chain or the
Mm-hmm.
lowest section of the pyramid of the
Mm-hmm.
company.
It's always the like
And that's always
disposable
bothered
people.
me.
Yeah. Because there's not actually any change happening, essentially.
Yeah.
Like,
And I also don't really like when you're applying for a job and then even though they say it's optional, there might be a part where they ask you your ethnic identity
yeah.
or your sexuality or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the little statement that says we're committed to upholding equitable and diverse
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't know, I can't remember what they say, but like they're just committed, I guess.
Yeah. It's always that word. We're committed to having a
Yeah.
diverse
And
workplace or a, a workforce that's like representational of
isn't it a
whatever.
little odd, some of these questions, especially I remember my friend, she the other day was just saying, "Why are they asking me who I'm attracted to?"
Mm.
The way she put it was, I mean, yeah, she's right.
It feels very like
She's like,
we're
are y'all gonna
searching for
set
the
me up with
token.
someone?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it just gives quota vibes. Like, hey, if we get 5 Asian in this company or 5 people of color in this company, then hey, we did it. That's the goal. We're gonna look diverse. Or hey, if we have 3 women on this board of 50 men, we're gonna look like we support equality and equal opportunity for women. So before we were talking about putting a name to this, apologies for saying it, shared experience. Well, we're gonna put numbers to this now.
Mhm.
So in a study done by the Ascend Foundation, which is a nonprofit that advocates for Pan-Asians in North America, they found that white men are 192% more likely to be execs over Asian men, and white women are 134% more likely to be execs over Asian women. And I mean, could have guessed that, but I appreciate having numbers to
Mhm.
back things up because I feel like the thing is sometimes people they they don't believe it until it's proven to them.
Mhm.
In the same way that there are people that say, "Oh, racism doesn't exist."
Yeah. A number is a good like frame of reference
Mhm.
to have.
Yeah, I always appreciate it.
Mhm. Damn, 192%. That's a crazy number.
Yeah, I know, right?
There's also some stats from the US Census Bureau. They found that in 2010, the Asian American population accounts for about like 5.6 of the total population in the US, but only 0.3 of corporate office populations.
Point
So,
three.
yeah, zero point 0.3. That's in
Wow.
2010, so that's pretty outdated, which is weird to say, but
Oh, no.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
like I'm sure the number's higher now, but 2010, like that was a like relatively that was a while ago, but to me like that doesn't feel like it was a while ago.
Mhm.
It definitely relative to like diversity and like the history of POC and Asians in America, that's not a long time ago whatsoever. To have
Mhm.
5.6 of the population, but 0.3 of corporate office populations.
Yeah. And here's the thing, or a note. You've heard us mention America and North America, and we're not purposely picking information from
Hmm.
those regions. The issue is that this conversation kind of sparked in America, and then there's
Hmm.
also that like really prominent Asian American population. I don't yeah, a prominent because here Asian Canadians, I don't know, the perception or the way that like Asian Canadians are not the same as Asian Americans. I feel like Asian Americans have such a for every one, I don't know, Asian American YouTuber,
Hmm.
there or I guess for every 100 Asian American YouTubers, there might be 2 Asian Canadian YouTubers.
Hmm.
And I mean, think about it. Name name all the Asian YouTubers you know right now. You're probably mostly thinking of American ones, and then
Yeah,
the Canadian one you know might just be like Lena Dong.
yeah, pretty much.
And so it's a overrepresentation, or I guess there's just more information about Asian Americans, and so that's
Mhm. Yeah.
what we are using because that's what is showing up.
Mhm. Like, there's definitely issues elsewhere. However, like, the issue is so bad that it's not even being talked about at this point.
Hmm.
Like, at least in North America, it's starting, like, the conversation is starting. It exists a little bit. Yeah, here's another um stat. So, according to a study of the 25 largest Bay Area companies in the US.
And that's a pretty Asian area.
Yes, that is Asian. Like, Bay Area is known to be an Asian area. So 25 of the largest companies in the Bay Area, 12 had no board members of Asian descent, and 5 had no corporate officers of Asian descent. That's Bay Area.
Wow. Oh, and then to wow.
We've touched on this a little bit, but there is an important aspect of intersectionality in terms of being Asian American and being a woman, or just your gender identity in general.
Mhm.
And there is a NetShark article that we have linked in the description that sh- discusses how Asian American women are not being promoted to executive management positions. And this is specific to Asian American women. Keyword women.
Yeah, and I mean the stereotype about being passive and docile is
Mm-hmm.
definitely applied more to Asian women
Mm-hmm, for sure.
because of the multitude of very creepy stereotypes applied to Asian women
Mm-hmm.
and their behavior and also their appearance.
Mm-hmm. And, not to discredit the fact that the whole, like, passive, quiet stereotype applies to all Asians in general, but you cannot deny that Asian women in particular get the short end of the stick.
The short end of the short end. Honestly, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's difficult when there's different layers to this. And, like, we're not trying to be like, oh, like, women have it harder. Like, again, we're not
I
pitting
mean, they
people
do.
against each other. I do. Um, but again, it's not supposed to be like
It's not the
intersectionality
oppression Olympics.
wars. Yeah. Just, we have to be aware of these things and
Yeah,
acknowledge
and
them.
if we go deeper, there's the discussion about disability,
For sure. And, like, other gender identities.
neurodivergency,
Mm-hmm.
ageism,
Mm-hmm.
you name it.
Mm-hmm. Very multi-dimensional issue.
Mhm.
And again, very difficult. But the first step into breaking the bamboo ceiling is to have a conversation and acknowledge it. You cannot fix the problem unless you know that there is a problem in the first place and you acknowledge the problem.
I think it's really important to. So I don't like, and I mean, many people don't like this, the idea of saying, okay, let's hire two Asian people and then we're creating more opportunity for Asian because it's very, like I was saying, very quota like, and then you're not really, you're like throwing a band aid on a gaping, like a,
Wound.
yeah,
Hmm.
because yes, it helps to hire more Asians, but then we're just doing it for the sake of it, and then it's very performative and
Very.
everything. And in order to help give equal access and opportunity to any marginalized group, I think it it helped to, I don't know, promote education. It helps to promote them their exposure to an industry.
Hmm.
Say there's a big underrepresentation of certain marginalized communities in law, rather than just throwing a lawyer from that community to join your firm. I think the root is more, hey, how can we get more people into law? Or how do we, what's stopping them? Like,
Hmm.
what's stopping people that are interested? Like, what's stopping marginalized individuals that are interested in law from pursuing it? Is it a financial thing? Is it an exposure thing?
Hmm.
This These are ways to attack the problem from the root rather than just being like, hey, this person already made it. We're gonna invite them to this thing, and then everyone invites the same person
Hmm.
because they're the only one.
Hmm.
Very disingenuous.
Token. Mhm. As I said earlier, the way to start breaking this bamboo ceiling and this phenomenon is to start to have conversations like these. And we are very curious. Have you personally experienced the bamboo ceiling yourself?
You know? Did you know about the bamboo ceiling
Yeah,
from
did you
this
know?
episode?
Um, I'm
Did you
sure
think we were talking about bamboo architecture?
that would be sick, but also I wouldn't want to break it. Just it
This
would be
whole
more of
video
like
was
a
about our hatred of bamboo architecture. That's so untrue. I love bamboo architecture.
yeah, it's very nice. Um, if that was the case, this episode would just be like, hey, look at this. This is cool. This is this is not actually how we feel about the phenomenon of the bamboo ceiling. Not a
Would
hey, look at
anyone
this.
like us to do an episode on bamboo ceilings, literally?
I'm gonna leave a comment on this episode and say yes. I would like
It's
to
gonna be
do
us
that.
scrolling and looking at images of bamboo ceilings.
Yeah. Just gonna be a slideshow that you guys listen to us just be like, ooh, that one's nice.
Ah. And then we don't even describe the
Yeah, no.
images. Like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, look at this bamboo ceiling.
we don't show pictures on the YouTube video. We it's just us like talking about it and no description.
Yeah. It's like you're secretly listening in on our phone call.
Yeah,
Like, oh
POV.
wow.
But yes, the very serious phenomenon of the bamboo ceiling. Let us know if you've experienced it. Have you seen it happen? Maybe it's happened to like your parents or a friend.
An enemy.
Yeah. Did that make you change your mind about that enemy? Or were you like,
Mhm.
hmm, at least it's not me? Which,
Imagine they're thinking sucks to be you.
I mean, like, if you're both Asian, hate to break it to you, but you are no exception.
Oh my gosh, if they weren't Asian and they were thinking that, that's just kind of
Yeah, you're, why are you here? I mean,
yikes.
like, maybe you're listening to hear a different perspective, but again,
Anyways, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. We kind of already started doing this, but feel free to leave a comment about any experiences you have with the bamboo ceiling, any knowledge. What are your thoughts
We'd like to know.
And if you have any stats you would like to share,
Oh,
we
yeah.
would love to learn more about this. Because I mean, like I was saying, we can all, I don't know if I want to generalize like that, but we can assume a lot of these things. Because, I mean, seems about right. 100 and, what was it? 192%? Seems about right. But having the numbers, having the research really helps solidify the reality.
It's like reassuring to know that there's actual numbers behind things. Anyways, if you guys like this episode and want to stay connected with us, check out our website in the description. It contains links to our streaming platforms such as Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and more. Follow us for more behind-the-scenes content, announcements, and other random things we decide to put on there.
See you next time.
Bye.